Right. So sorry about this interruption. Let me continue from where I left. So the deductive approach is about, from the theory, you establish the theory, you test the theory, you confirm the theory. Okay, so to do this, we may have to do researches. That is where these research strategies comes in, where we talk about experiments, surveys, case studies, and there are many more. Let me discuss these three things in advance now. When I'm calling it experiment is one of the ways that you could use to establish a theory. Otherwise, to test an established theory. If there's a theory already, you can do an experiment and you can do a test whether the theory is yes or no. Let me tell you some examples on this. Let's say we already did the same example we take when we talk about exercise and the blood sugar. You can do an experiment, take one person out and check his blood sugar in the morning every day and take his blood sugar in the evening every day. So you are taking the blood sample of this guy to test the blood sugar in the morning and the evening. You record it. So Wednesday morning, Wednesday evening, Thursday morning, Thursday evening, Friday morning, Friday evening, Saturday morning, Saturday evening, like that. You take it for 10 days. And on that particular day, you do an experiment. The experiment is you take certain amount of food, the food consumption, the food you consume, you measure it in terms of the amount of food you eat, maybe in kilograms or in grams, whatever the food you take and whatever the sweets you take, all of these, list it. So on Wednesday, what did you take? On Thursday, what did you take? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you take it. You put these all together. Now, this is what I'm calling experiment. You have experimented in terms of your food consumption and the connection of that to the blood sugar you have to study that connection. Now, if you analyze this, when the food consumption goes up and down or fluctuates, is it impacting your blood sugar level in line with it? If you do an experiment, if you do a test on that, you can finally find out, yes, when the food amount goes up, the blood sugar is going up. When the food amount goes down, the blood sugar is going down. So there's a connection. Now, this is what the experiment is. You have experimented it. Then you can match it with the theory. The theory says the more the food consumption, the more the blood sugar in your blood. So that is a theory, and you have experimented it and you have tested it. Another example would be, you want to develop a new product to sell in the market. You can experiment that. Let's say I want to make 100 new models of computers, new version of computers. I want to go to the market. So what I do, I can make 100 computers and send that to the market and experiment it. If it is going on sales right, is it selling good? Experiment. So how long does that take to sell? And what is the comment of the customers? What do they say and stuff? This is what the experiment is about. So you can experiment it in any way. Now these vaccines, we can experiment it. What you do, you give some vaccine for a certain amount of people and then observe what's happening in their body. Are they developing some antibodies? Are they immune to this COVID virus? And are they getting infected again? Are they getting positive or negative or whatever? You do an experiment and you find out a yes or no. This is what experiment is about. Right? The survey is another strategy. The survey is about, without experimenting anything, you take the information from the people they have already experienced and you collect those and you do an analysis. An example would be, as I said, if you want to sell one new computer in the market, you can do an experiment that way. You make computers, sell that, send that to the market and see the performance in the market, see the feedback from the customers. That is experimenting. On the other side, the survey is this: you go to the market and speak to some customers and say that this is the computer I'm going to produce and the computer will be out next month. And what is your opinion on this? So based on that, they say some ideas, they give you some feedbacks, and based on the feedback, we can do a research. Yes, this computer will perform better, or other way around. Right? You're going to tell them the computer is this is going to look like this, the weight is this, height is this, the thickness is this, the battery duration is this, the software is this, the features are this, and you explain everything and ask them, would you buy it? And if they say out of 100 people, If 80 people says, yes, I would love to buy it, and then your research is done. That is what survey is about. Okay, so experiment is about you just do the practical thing of what you want to know, and you collect data on that, and you find out what is happening. That is experiment. The research, the survey is about, without experimenting it, you simply speak to people and find out the opinion of them if it is connected to people. Okay, that is survey. The case study is about you study this for a particular case. The survey is, in fact, a common one. You do that for everyone you like. The case study is for a particular person or particular company or particular limited crowd. Let me explain that to you. Let me take the difference between this survey and the case studies. Now, let's take the same example again, this COVID example. Now, if you want to study the common trend of COVID, what is going on, what is this virus is about, what is the variants of this, and what is the impact of that, symptoms of this, you can study that using many people around the world, because the whole world is under pandemic. There are cases everywhere, there are people everywhere, and people, they have got suffered, they have lost their lives, and they have recovered. And there are so many different parties and so many people, they know about this. There are doctors, there are infected people, victims, and the families of victims. There are so many people. We can speak to all of them. We can find out the COVID is this. That is what survey is about. The case studies is, you have one patient, he is approaching you that I am positive, I am COVID positive, or I feel like I am COVID positive. Can you please treat me? In that case, it is a case study, right? The whole, if you're studying what COVID is about, is what I'm calling survey. And if you're studying to treat a personal here, that is a case study. A different example would be, if you want to study why employees leave organizations, it is a survey. And why employees are leaving this particular organization, it's a case study. Let's say if you want to study why employees leave from software industry, software companies are suffering from employees turnover. So why these employees are leaving very frequently from software business, software companies, that is a survey. It's a common knowledge for every company, every software company. But a case study is why people leave this XYZ Software Limited, this company. That's a case study. Okay, so case study or survey, we do this taking message from the people. You presume that they know certain knowledge about what you want to know. Okay, so if you want to study why employees are leaving from Virtusa, then you speak to Virtusa employees, and that is a case study. Okay, because those people, whoever they leave, they know why they're leaving. So you speak to those people, they'll tell you why they're leaving. And if you want to study a survey, you have to study from Virtusa, Bilitas, Microsoft, Google. All these companies get employees from all of those companies from different part of the world, maybe in one country, and speak to people from different angle and find out why these people are leaving. That is what we call survey, right? And you can do an experiment for this as well. If it is for Microsoft, if you want to study why people leave Microsoft, you can experiment it. The experiment would be this: if you guess, if you doubt the salary I pay is not enough, that is why they're leaving. What you do, you adjust your salary. This month you pay something, next month you increase the salary, the month after increase a little more, and see that the impact of it on the employee turnover. So you're experimenting it. Okay, so I think I have given you the message. Experiment is something that you do something and find out the impact of it. Okay, that is experiment. And survey is something that you do that to know something in general. Case study is something that you study a particular case for a particular personality, for a family, for an organization, or for a limited crowd for certain things. That is what case studies is about. So the selection of this strategy depends on the problem you have. Let's say if you want to solve the whole pandemic in the world, we have to do a survey. Okay, and if you treat one personnel for COVID, we have to do a case studies. If we want to know about what this diabetes is about, we have to do a survey. And if we want to know the diabetic of this particular patient here, that is a case studies. And since it is something connected to a scientific disease, then we can do experiments as well. So you can do an experiment as a survey. You do the experiment for many people to find out what's going on, or you can do an experiment in a case study for a particular person to find out what's wrong with him as well, right? Right, so let me come back to this, the statement I earlier said. Deductive approach is about you approach from the theory because we know something about this problem. Then you do some observation. The observation is what I'm calling the research strategy. There are many strategies. The main strategies we use is use our experiment, survey, and case study. There are many more. And I'm using another topic here, the quantitative observation. Quantitative observation, because if you want to develop some new theory, it is always involved, otherwise I would say often involved with qualitative research. And if you want to test a theory, quantitative observation or quantitative research is enough. I don't say it is enough. You don't need to do qualitative research, because qualitative research is more expensive in terms of time and in terms of money and all the efforts you wanted to do. Qualitative is very costly comparatively to quantitative. And I'll be discussing what qualitative and quantitative researches are in the next sessions, in the coming sessions. So we do qualitative experiment, qualitative surveys, quantitative, to test a theory, we do quantitative experiments, quantitative surveys, and quantitative case studies to test a theory. So this is what we call the deduction or deductive approach to find out something. Final message on this, the recap on this, research you want to do, if you know the problem before, if you have some theories about this problem before, the research approach we do is deductive approach, because we test an existing theory, whether is it applied to us or not. That is what the deduction is about. And the next thing is about the, as an additional message in here, what we do on the deductive research cycle, we have a theory already. And based on that, we develop a hypothesis and we do some data collection using experiment, survey, or case studies, and you find out the common trend of this data, and you confirm your hypothesis or reject it. You say, yes, the theory is right, or you reject, no, the theory is not right. That is what we do. So that is what we call deduction. Now, let's move to the next one, the induction. The inductive approach is the second approach, and that is about moving from an observation to a theory. You find out some brand new problem and you observe that problem, you collect some data on that, you may do some experiment on it, you may do a survey or case study on that, and you develop a new theory. Let me tell you some examples of developing a new theory. Now I have brought in an air crash here. And there are theories, an aeroplane, a flying aeroplane in the sky, from the sky, it can come down suddenly for many reasons. One of them would be your engine failure, and the other one would be the human error, your pilot's error, or maybe the bad weather conditions. And there are so many reasons like that. There are theories. A flight, an aircraft can come down suddenly due to these reasons. These are all theories, okay? And a new theory I learned about 3 years ago, of an aircraft can come down because the pilot, the captain of the aircraft, if he is not happy about his girlfriend in the ground, a flight can come down. This is a new theory, okay? Let me explain what happened. About 3 years ago, the German airlines, Lufthansa Airlines, very reliable airlines, very clean safety records, that aircraft came down in France suddenly. Okay, now what happened? They studied what went wrong, the black box, according to, they finally found out the captain in the plane, he was flying the aircraft, he had some problem with his girlfriend last night, and he was so embarrassed, he was so fed up with it, and he wanted to commit himself suicide, and he wanted to kill the other people as well on board. And he purposely brought the aircraft down and he crashed it. And in fact, if you want to take an aircraft to the sky, the law is you have to have the captain and the crew, his deputy should be there. And the law says one of them should be in the cockpit, other one can go out to the toilet if he wants, and things like that. It was possible. After this new theory, because they developed a new theory, if a pilot is not happy about his partner, he can crash an aircraft. It is a new theory. Now, after this theory, the International Civil Aviation Authority, or lakeside policymakers, they made a law saying that at any time when the flight in the sky, there should be 2 personnel inside the cockpit, right? So there should be at least 3 pilots, and 2 of them should be there, and other one can go to the washroom if he wants. That is what the new impact or new outcome of this new theory. So we always think that if an aircraft is crashing, there are technical errors and there are many other reasons. We never knew that an aircraft can kill people like this due to this kind of problem. It's a new theory. Okay, so after this, when they want to recruit these pilots, they want to consider, do they have their partner? How do they do with them the partnership life? How is it going? And before every single flight, they may have to do some interviews and find out if the guy is happy last night. That is when we can hand over the passengers on board so that they can land them safe wherever the destination is. New theory. Let me tell you a few examples. Another example is this. I do some counseling, and I found out one lady, she said that she wanted the divorce from her partner. And I wanted to study why. And she said, he snores very loud in the night. I can't sleep, so I don't want him. So we know families, they dissolve, they divorce each other for many reasons, maybe financial reasons, or maybe some illicit relationships, maybe some sexual problems. There are so many reasons, we know that. Okay, but we never know that a wife can throw a husband away because he is snoring. It's a new theory that I learned. I don't know if the theory was existing already, but I learned it recently, that a wife can throw her partner away from the bed because he snores. That's one theory, and one of the theories. And I learned another theory that is also from my experience, that a wife said, I don't want this, she was having many complaints. One of the complaints that she wanted to go for a divorce was that my husband doesn't know how to eat. Okay, so then I asked, what's the problem? She said, have a lunch with him and observe. And I said, yes, let me. Then I had lunch with him. I had actually a dinner with him. Then I observed, and what he said was correct. Okay, it was looking something different. I don't want to explain that in here. But my point is, can this kind of attitude lead to divorce? That's the question. Okay, but this is a theory, it's a theory. So now next time when I want to counsel someone to solve a problem between this husband and wife, I'm going to ask the question, does your husband or does your wife snore? Because I want to take that question as well, because I know the theory that this is developed last time. And I'm going to ask, how does your husband's eating habit? How does he eat in the table? So these are all 2 new theories I learned. There may be existing same theories in the past, but I've never learned those. I learned it, I developed it. Okay, so now you can develop these kind of theories through your observation, through your experience, right? So an experience can develop a theory. This is what it is about. Okay, so if you approach from an observation to develop a new theory, okay, that is what we call the inductive approach, where we always use qualitative observation. Okay, so if I want to make sure that this guy's eating habit is bad, I have to have a dinner with him, and then I have to see how he eats. Okay, it is a qualitative observation. I'm not counting how many times he eats and how many mouths he takes, how many spoons he uses, and that's about the qualitative part. Okay, and if I want to study the snoring thing, how long that snore is, how big that sound is, and how long is he doing that for, and how does that sound look like, a lot of things to be done, and that is about qualitative. Then to do this, I have to sleep with that guy one night to study his snoring habit, and I have to have a dinner with this guy once to have a study on his eating habits. Okay, so this is what we are saying: qualitative, systematic qualitative observation that develops new theories. Right now, that's the basics of it. Let me tell you this in here using this image. Your theories are developed. Your theories are developed from nothing through qualitative observation. Okay, any theory we are talking about is developed through qualitative observation, and that is what we call inductive research. So you develop a theory. Now, after the theory is developed, you can study a problem related to that, taking that theory to test it. That is when that is done through quantitative observation to test the theory. Quantitative observation to test the theory. So that goes this way. And when you are testing it, you may go to the same theory again, right? Example would be, your theory has been developed that your food consumption has a connection with the blood sugar, already developed theory. This theory has been developed from here, from nothing, about 100 years ago, maybe. The medical scientists might have developed this theory through qualitative observations that your blood sugar has the connection to the food you consume. That is developed. Now, if you want to study this, you can study that, okay, to make sure, to test, is it the same theory applied to your body? You do a quantitative observation, right? And then you find out, yes, the food is the cause of your thing. So your theory will reinvent the wheel here. So the theory is tested. That is what we call the hypothesis is confirmed. The hypothesis, the theory is confirmed. Yes, the theory is correct. Or sometimes you may find out, no, that is not in my case. Food and the blood sugar is not connected to me because I never eat all these sweetie foods. I only take some drinks and some porridge and some fibrous food, and there's nothing. So in that case, you may end up, the food you consume has nothing to do with your blood sugar. That is something else, where you will take an early exit here and you reject your theory. You say, this patient doesn't have anything to do with the food to his blood sugar. That is something else. So this is what we call the deductive approach. So you do the inductive approach from nothing to develop a theory. And from that, you do a deductive approach to test the theory. The test may confirm the theory once again, or otherwise the test may contradict with your test, and then it may reject your theory. The reason for this rejection would be simply this one here. The reason may be this: either the hypothesis is wrong, okay, or the method was not appropriate. The method you used to test your hypothesis may not be appropriate. Because of that, you couldn't, or you are unable to establish your theory, accept your theory, or else the hypothesis is wrong. You made a wrong hypothesis. There are so many theories that applied for your problem. If it is your blood sugar, there are hundreds of theories. We know that. Your stress, your family problem, your financial problem, your obesity, your food consumption, your food habit, your exercise, your stress level. There are hundreds of factors that is connected to you. But you've picked one or two, three hypotheses, 2-3 theories. That's a wrong picking of your hypothesis. That may be the reason why your hypothesis could be rejected. Okay, so having said that, let me show you this to the final message tonight. Now, the COVID, very good example to understand this, the vaccine, COVID vaccine. The COVID vaccine has come to an existence now. It is ready. We are taking it. The whole world is taking it. That has been developed from nothing. So they should have, all these companies that developed this vaccine, they should have done lots of qualitative observations, and they found out vaccine from nowhere. The vaccine is existing now, it is available now, but they found this out from nothing. In the past, we don't know anything about what to take to develop your antibodies in your blood, in your body to fight this COVID. And that is what we are calling inductive. Now the vaccine is ready. Okay. Now some people say this vaccine is not right. Some people say it is risky. Some people say it has the side effect, and some people say it's in the wrong run, it may affect you. You know, there are so many people, and some other people, they say it's fine, I take it, I'm fit and nice, and I'm so immune to these things and whatever. They say some of the different opinion. Now to do this, to test this, what we do is this, right? You take some vaccine, you inject some vaccine for a certain amount of people and do a deductive approach and find out whether is it yes this way or no that way. So can we accept this hypothesis or can we reject it? And if the test says yes, if you take it, you will develop the immunity against this, and we can say no problem, you can take it. Otherwise, if your test is contradictory to the theory, then we say don't take it, it's dangerous, it's not going to cure you. That's all. So inventing the vaccine for COVID from nothing is inductive approach. And after the vaccine is developed, testing whether this vaccine would cure you is what we are calling deductive approach. Okay. So I think this is the summary of it. The inductive approach is about developing a new theory, and it is associated with phenomenology. We talked about this philosophy last class as well, and it is often qualitative methods. The deductive approach is about the testing an existing theory associated with positivism and often quantitative methods. That's the summary of tonight's lecture. So thank you very much for joining me tonight. And I have the next topic of this research methodologies coming Sunday, and join me on that Sunday. Thank you very much for your time. Be safe, stay home, have a good night. Thank you.